You are now listening to the Going North podcast with your host, author and speaker, Dom Brightman. And every Monday and Thursday, you're going to hear the voice of a different author share their stories, expertise, and their struggles that they had to overcome in life to leave you inspired to get more out of your life. Be sure to not only listen to this episode, but share with others, connect with the authors, and always advance others to advance yourself. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, we're back at you again with yet another author, but not just any author. Oh man, I got to tell you, this podcast is freaking amazing because you get to connect with all sorts of wonderful people from all over the world. And this is another wonderful author from the DMV area, specifically Virginia. This wonderful lady right here is a powerhouse, y'all. She is a powerhouse. She is one heck of a wordsmith. She grew up in the church, and she had a rough beginning and even had the nickname of Jenny Without a Penny. But she turned that around to becoming Jenny of Ultimate Prosperity because she has a company that's generated over $1 billion in revenue, and she's been doing it for over 35 years. And she's the author of the book called Launch, and she's got another book coming up later on this year that'll help you spring into action to get the best out of your life. And you're probably wondering who this stellar woman is that I got on the podcast today. It is the one, the only, Jen du Plessis. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just honored to be here. I'm excited to share whatever it is you want me to share with your listeners.
Oh, yeah, because sharing is caring. That's right indeed. That's right indeed. So for first book, which is really, really awesome, Launch, and now you got this new book for folks. Tell us a bit about your plans for the upcoming book and what led to that trajectory.
Well, thanks for asking. Yeah, you know, the book, when I wrote the book Launch, and it was released about 1.5 years ago in September, and, you know, when I wrote it, having been in the mortgage industry for 35 years, and I just retired this last May, and, yeah, well, from that, I should say, I always say retire, but everyone says, you're not really retired, you shifted. I say, okay, fine, I shifted. But
okay.
I left lending after 35 years, and so when I wrote the book, you know, I knew that I was on the brink of the exit out of the industry, so I did my best to write the book in a manner that isn't all specific to mortgage lending. And so that's why I called it Launch, How to Take Your Business to New Heights, not your mortgage business. But there's a lot of, you know, innuendo in there about mortgage lending and real estate. But I did try to make it as generic as possible. But once I retired, in air quotes, I realized that I needed to write another one that didn't peg me so much into the mortgage and real estate space, but would be able to peg me or put me into, you know, helping all entrepreneurs. And so the next one is not going to be as big, as long, and it's not going to be a how-to book. And really, it's not, I wouldn't say it's a rewrite, but it's sort of a rewrite. It's just that I'm going to, you know, I grow. Everybody grows, right? I've grown in the last 1.5 years. So I have some new ideas and new thoughts on how to help entrepreneurs and sales professionals, you know, really, really take action, like you said, spring into action. You know, it's one of my mantras, which is, you know, stop talking, take action, get results. And I just have learned that, you know, great employees don't always make great business owners because they just weren't taught how to be a business owner. And I want to be able to share that with as many people that want to learn it. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes so much sense. So many quarters and Benjamins, all sorts of sense.
That's great.
Oh, man, but it's actually great that you're doing that, and it's really true. I mean, everybody grows. I mean, we're not on this planet just to live and just die off. We're actually supposed to be growing, and it's what you're all about. And it's actually great. You're actually kind of in a way rewriting the first book, but gearing it more towards folks who are just hyped up about this entrepreneurial age. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. They hear the folks like Grant Cardone and Gary Vaynerchuk to get hyped up, and then they get into business and realize, oh, shoot, this may not be for me. So it's really great that you're doing that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I just think a lot of people scratch their heads and they're going, gosh, I was such a good plumber. Why is my business not working? Or I was such a good financial planner. Why is my business not working? And someone had planted that seed and told them, hey, you know what? You should open up your own business. And therein lies the issue. So, if I can help people, that's going to bring me all the joy in the world. And I'll have another book coming out right after that as well, and that's going to be dedicated specifically to women, and it's going to be about women in business, and I'll probably have that out, if not by the end of this year, probably the first part of 2020. Can't believe I'm saying that, 2020.
Oh, we're going to have a new vision. It's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay, so I guess the shift is real. So we've got book number 2 and then another book in the wings for book number 3 about, I'm guessing, empowering women to, I guess, do greater things, I guess, I'm assuming. Yeah,
it's going to be about that, having been raised in the mortgage space because I started in the business when I was 19. It was a really strong man's world. It still is to a certain extent, but it was a man's world and there were very few women, and I had to grow up being pretty tough, and being the token woman and being excluded from certain things, and I learned to be pretty tough, and I see a lot of women in entrepreneurship that are just I'm going to use the word fluffy for right now. They're just kind of fluffy, and they are sort of trying this thing about having a business, and I just want to give some insight on how to toughen themselves up. Get a little tough. You got to have a little bit of a shell. And how to really negotiate and stand your ground without being perceived as being weak, and that's really what I want to do. So it's going to be, that's actually going to be a really short book. I almost want to call it a pamphlet, but it's going to be a very short book. It's just going to be a handful of tips and tricks for finding their strength, for finding your strength and putting your big girl pants on.
There you go, and I feel like that's really needed. That's really needed. Funny enough, a friend of mine, I was talking with her, and she was studying for this exam, and then it was combined with some self-help stuff, and it showed that she had the capabilities of a CEO according to the exam, and then out of nowhere, it just gave her the confidence to realize, like, hey, she can actually do this when she kept on hearing most of her life she's not business material. So there's actual need for that.
Yeah. Oh, I think so too. Yeah. And I think the timing is really good too. I'm 55, and I really think, there may be a handful of women ahead of me, maybe, to the 60 age group, but there'll be more behind me that this particular generation, and I'm not giving it a brand because it just happens to be women in this sort of 40 to 60 age group, that we're the first generation of women that had jobs that were powerful jobs. They weren't just a secretary, and when you retired, you just went home and took care of your grandkids. We're the first generation to have these really powerful jobs, and we've had them for a really long time. And me, for example, 35 years. After 35 years of doing anything, teacher, military, you want a change. You want to make a shift, and but the problem is when you make that shift, there's no way, having come from a powerful position and relatively wonderful income, that a woman like that is going to be a greeter at Walmart or even watch their grandkids full time. We want more out of life, and so we're looking for what's that next career going to be, and really the only thing to do is be an entrepreneur. So there's a real need for that, and I know a lot of girlfriends that I've talked to, we're all thinking about it, but no one's talking out loud about it, and I want to start talking about it and saying, what's next for us, leaving one powerful position and saying, what do we do? Do we want a full career? Do we not? Do we want to dabble? What do we want to do? And really providing roadmap to figure that out.
Oh, yeah. Provide the roadmap indeed. Maybe call the team Grandma Superpowers or something.
That's funny you said that because I call myself Grandma, which my son does not like whatsoever. But it is. But that's exactly what it is. It's powerful grandmas on the run. Yeah. On the run. On the run again. That's what my mom used to say. I'm on the run again. Her voicemail would always say that. Hi, it's Ginger. I'm on the run again. And and that's really what we're doing is that we're not stopping, but there's just either a boredom or just more need, to be fulfilled, to be able to do more or something different, So that's probably most likely what the next book's going to be about. I'm still working out some of the details, but I'm really excited about, just sharing with as many people, men, women, it doesn't matter, anybody that is looking for help in their business.
Oh, yeah, that's right indeed. And some folks are probably going to be needing some tips to actually overcome those self-doubting beliefs. So is there any particular thing that you do to keep yourself motivated? Because I believe you're a Christian, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's the first thing. Yes. Well, that's the first thing, that belief. And of course, it sounds like you've, read at least, parts of my book or maybe all of it. And, that's where it all started. I was thankful that I had grandparents who lived next door to me that were very faithful, and I went to church with them every day. And, when life got me down, when I was a young girl with my father being an alcoholic and, the fights in the house all the time and being poor and being told that I was going to be just like that by my uncle. Faith is what pulled me out of that in the very beginning, the faith, because, at 9 and 10 years old, you don't really know any other way. You don't read books to, pull yourself out of your limiting beliefs that you have at 9 years old. So it was just my faith. My faith pulled me out, and I realized that I was put on earth to do better than what I was thinking I needed to do. At the time I thought, okay, I guess I am going to be poor and an alcoholic and smoke and all that. But my faith, pulled me out of that, and it helps me every day, every single day. And, my motivation obviously comes, everybody has a different way of motivating through their faith. There's a lot of different ways, but I would say that aside from prayer, right, daily prayer, what I read is, it's called the 1 Year Daily Wisdom, 1 Year Daily Wisdom, and it's everything that's in it every single day. It's very short reading every single day, and it's all the book of Proverbs. And someone had told me once before that if you read the book of Proverbs, you will have an MBA in finance.
Huh.
And that's exactly what it is. But it's about being a good steward of money and a good steward of business and a good steward of being fair to people. And to me, that's all about business, too. I don't read it because it's business. I read it because it helps me in my business. And I'm Catholic, and so we have something called fiat, which is something that the Blessed Mother, Virgin Mary, did. But we also use it in a networking group I belong to called Catholic Business Network. We use it as Faith in Action Testimonial, FIAT, fiat. And I just feel like every day when I read the Daily Wisdom, I'm just that much different every day. I'm acutely aware of what I just read so that I can put my faith in action every day, in my work. And so that's a huge motivator. The other motivation I have is I love Hal Elrod's book, The Miracle Morning, and I've subscribed to what he does every day, and it's called SAVERS. It's an acronym, and it's silence, affirmations, vision, having a vision board or vision, exercise, reading, and scribing. And that's what SAVERS stands for. And you can typically spend an hour doing each one of those, consumed in an hour, or you can do each one of them for a minute and get over, if you don't have enough time, you can do it in 6 minutes. Right up a set of stairs real quick and call it exercise. Read one page in a book. Write for 5 minutes or a minute, what you plan to do for that day. So that's really where all my motivation comes from, is making sure that I have a checkup from the neck up every day, and that I'm, feeding my soul every day. so that I can be the best that I can be for myself and for the people that I'm serving.
Sounds solid indeed. Never heard of the book of Proverbs giving you an MBA in finance before. I know it's one of my favorite personal books in the Bible, but never seen it from that perspective.
Yeah, well, Solomon's in it a lot. That's why. If you've ever read the book, The Secrets of Solomon, it's a fantastic book about finance as well, because of being a steward of your finances and of your, not being in debt to people.
Borrower's a servant to the lender.
That's it. That's it right there.
Classic King Solomon goodness.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I'm reminded of it every day. And I think that's one of the things that entrepreneurs succumb to is just feeling like they need to have everything at one time, so they, overspend and get themselves into financial situations where they can't move the business forward.
That's right. And also, you plan on doing more speaking now that you've made the giant shift. So any big plans for, like, the speaking, just doing more? Are you going to be doing more keynoting or possibly just going to be doing more workshops? Is there a particular plan for that in mind?
Oh, gosh, there's a lot of things. I have a podcast as well. And I've had a podcast for 3 years, so I continue to push that out. It was my way of sharing with the world. It just became time-consuming. People were calling and emailing and saying, can I pick your brain? I have a couple questions. Would you mind, or what, this situation came up, what can I do? And I just didn't have the bandwidth to do it, so I thought, well, I'll answer all the questions through a podcast. That was how I started the podcast. So I'll continue to do that. I'll continue to be guest on podcasts as well. And I'm a coach, so I've been coaching for many, many, many years, and I continue to do coaching. And I'm actually starting a group coaching January 24th, so it'll be a monthly group coaching session for the whole year that will help people, in a group atmosphere that can't afford higher levels of coaching, and I certainly understand that. And, I'm doing a lot of speaking right now, speaking kind of everywhere. I have a couple of really big opportunities that are coming up in California next month in February of this year. And I'll be at the City Summit speaking with, I really don't know who I'm speaking with yet. I think Les Brown might be there. Randy Jackson might be there. But I also heard Michelle Obama might be there, or, gosh, I'm trying to think what his name is. Warren Buffett. I couldn't think of his name. But he might be there as well, so I'll be, in the company of all of them. I'm really excited about that. So some places I'm doing keynotes and telling my story and motivating people, and other times I'm educating people on certain aspects of business, whether it's lead generation, relationship building, putting ways to have a better client experience for a business, giving you back your time. I'm a huge advocate of priority management. You can't have the number of businesses that I have and avenues of income that I have and not be a steward of your time. So I do a lot of that, and then I'll probably have some webinars this year as well, some workshops and some webinars that I'll be doing as well. But so I'm just doing a little bit of both, both speaking and the podcast and coaching, doing a few of those things. That's really where it's going to stop. I don't want to be out speaking every single week, every single month, but I do want to be out speaking quite a bit so that I can find some coaching clients as well, so that I can help change people's lives.
More ways than one. And I guess a quick shout-out to Chris Salem. I believe he's actually going to be speaking at the City Summit around the same time as you, I believe.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I haven't seen the agenda, so I'm not sure who all is going to be there, but I believe Brian Smith is going to be there. He's the founder of UGG Boots.
Ooh.
He's a wonderful guy. And I can't think of his name right now, but he's the founder of Make-A-Wish Foundation, so he's usually a speaker at City Summit. I mean, it's a great lineup of very powerful and inspirational speakers who all have stories. We all have a story. It's what we do with that story that determines where we're going to go. We can be victims or we can be victors.
Oh, man. You're like so great with acronyms and just the rhyming.
Oh, yeah. Well, it helps me remember things. Honestly, it really does. I'm always looking at that, saying, and I think the one that I probably use more than any is, especially when I'm doing coaching, is, are you working with people that compliment you or complicate you in your business?
Ooh.
And I think that so many of us just accept the people that complicate our business, and we're afraid to let people go. We're afraid to make people upset at us. And so we tend to just kind of go along with people that complicate us and our team and our business instead of working with people that compliment us. And I think that gets down from, it's a scarcity issue of feeling like more is more when it's really less is more. The right people, less is more.
That's true. Just being in demand from the right people, not everybody.
Yep, I use that one too. Do you want to be in demand or on demand? There's a big difference. There's a big difference in the quality of your life or the life of your, life of quality that you're trying to obtain.
That's right. That's right. She's pouring up the wonderful wise wine, baby, the wise wine, baby. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Well, it's great that you got a bunch of big projects waiting in the wings and some for the ladies in the 40 to 60 range, which is really awesome because that spectrum is growing huge. It's just expanding, especially in America.
Mm-hmm.
So any massive impact goal for the year in terms of like all this encompassing one giant goal, or is it just basically impact as many people as possible?
Yeah, it definitely is impacting as many people as possible, but, really being all in, and I say this all the time, are you leaning into your business, and this year, because I just retired, 7 months ago, it was a lot of setup. It's funny because I had coaching and speaking for, many 18 years, but it was all on the side, And so it has a different flavor to it now. And so it needed some massaging and tweaking, to make sure that I was ready to set myself up, to start the new year strong. And so really it's all in. It's either all in or lean in, this year. And it would be the same thing that I would tell anybody that I'm helping as well is, you've got to be all in. You can't have a toe in this. You've got to make the decision to be all in. And, it's important to work with people that are serious about their businesses so that they can get going and get moving. And that's what I'm doing this year. For me, it's all in. It's just all in every capacity that I possibly can do to make the difference in someone's life.
Oh, yeah, all in. Swimming in the Kool-Aid. Not just drinking it, but swimming in it.
Yeah. Toe dipping just doesn't work. If I can take my 35 years of mistakes and successes and lessons, right, and victories, right, all of that, and I can condense it into a shorter period of time to help other people realize their dreams faster, then I'll feel like I had moved from a position of success into a position of significance. And that sure is godly, right? That's where I want to be. I want to be to the place where I have significance in the world and have left a mark for people.
Oh, yeah, that is right indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of 35 years of experience, if you were to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but you get to keep all of that experience inside your brain, what advice would you give to yourself?
Gosh, there's a lot of advice that I would give to myself. But if I had to do that all over again, probably there'd be two things. I wouldn't have one piece of advice. I'd probably have two pieces of advice. One would be to save more. I wish I had read Solomon's books earlier, and really understood about the need to pay ourselves first, right? Because in the mortgage industry, it's a very, it's a good income. There's no doubt about it. And so when it's good, you tend to spend, and when it's not, you have to figure things out, right? And I had to go through a couple of those cycles to really understand that I needed to change things. I wish I had done that from the very, very beginning. So I would say that is pay yourself first. Know that even if you're only making $100 on something, you've got to put $10 aside. You just have to pay yourself first, 10%, and then later you can go to 20% or 30%. So that would be the one thing I would say from a personal perspective. The other from a business perspective would be that I would have nurtured my database from a place of abundance and not scarcity. I would have nurtured my relationships with people the way that I'm nurturing my relationships with people now. And I think that's a maturity thing. I really do. I think you get to a point in your life where you understand that relationships are important and that friends are important and that slowing down to speed up is a better way to go. But I think when you're trying to climb the corporate ladder, it's all about speed and yourself and superficial things, and it is scarcity, and you don't need help. You tell people, I'm fine, I don't need help. And I think if you can express the vulnerability and the authentic you from the very get-go, and that's abundance, by the way, that's not scarcity. If you can do that, you can attract people more easily to work with you and be part of your life than trying to pull people. There's a difference there. And so I think it's a maturity thing, but I wish I could, get that across to some millennials, which, by the way, are my kids too. My kids get it. They're seeing it and they're getting it. But I do think that's a maturity thing. But, boy, I wish I could have had that wisdom when I was younger, because I think I would be even that much further along in my, life's progression and my legacy that I'm trying to build, for myself and my family.
Solid advice indeed, and you've done a lot in life, and there's more to come. So that's the good thing about it. There's more to come.
Absolutely. Well, I hope so, right? God willing. I mean, when I turned 50, my birthday wish was to be a centurion. So in my eyes, I'm only 5 years old, and I got a lot of life left. So I have the ability to tell my old self, these things and make the next, 50 years, or now at 45, but the next 45 years, God willing, even better than they are now. And I'm sure I'll learn a lot on the way.
Oh, yeah. So basically, my last question was basically a future-telling question. So you got to tell yourself that advice in a good 20 years.
Yeah. I got to tell you, I love elderly people. I really, really do. I am so drawn to the elderly, and I learn from them all the time. And it's so natural for me. I was at a networking event a couple of weeks ago for the Christmas holiday, and it was at a bank, my bank, and this elderly gentleman was there, and I had my purse sitting where he ended up kind of being wheeled into, and so I came over and I said, you don't mind if I put my phone back in my purse, that's okay. And he said, I don't know, I might use it, and we started laughing, and I took time to sit down and talk with him, and he's 94 years old. And I said, how long have you been in a wheelchair? And he said 3 months, because he just broke his hip. And I said, gosh, wow. You're not going to be in it very much longer, will you? Hopefully not. But, I found out he was married for 37 years. I've been married for 35. And when his wife passed away, he never got married again. I found out that he was a Navy pilot. I found out that the crest one of the crests that the Navy uses now, he painted. He's a painter. And he was showing me in the bank all the paintings that he and his son had done. And, just fascinating man. And I said, what's the secret to longevity? And he said, I'm just sweet. And I started laughing, and I started laughing, and he laughed too, and he goes, I don't know what it is. And I said, what it is that you aren't taking yourself too seriously. And, that makes you laugh and makes others around you laugh, and that's one of your secrets to life, And so the forward thinking, the future thinking, is that I want to find out more from elderly people, what they've done and how they've done it and what their regrets are, so that I can learn from them. They're our best assets. to learning things. I mean, we could tell our 25-year-old self something, but what if that 25-year-old went to a 55-year-old and said, what can I learn from you? You know, it's not me telling my person, it's me seeking out that wisdom from others. And for me, moving forward, I'm just going to continue to do that. I'm going to seek out wisdom from others that have been down this path in this time, and hopefully learn from them so that I can accelerate my success on the backside of this 50 years.
Well, that's a nice way of putting it, forward thinking, and that's amazing. Oh, man, there was a painter in 94? Oh, my God.
Right, and you know what's so funny? I got to tell you, the last part about this, what's so funny is that I left talking to him. I said, well, listen, I'm going to go galley that around. I said, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for, sharing time with me. And he said, well, thank you, for sharing time with me. And so I went and I started walking around the room doing my thing, and 3 different people came up to me, a man and 2 different women came up to me and said, I just want to say how impressed I was with the fact that you were sitting there talking to that elderly gentleman, and they didn't know him, but they weren't over there talking to him, right? I just want to say how impressed I was and how inspiring it was for me to see somebody sitting and talking with him. And I thought, and I said, well, thank you. I said, but, you should go over and talk to him too. Yep. Right? But yep. There's this fear of doing that, and it's so sad. It's so sad. There's so much wisdom there. And, if you're seeking wisdom, you're listening to this podcast and you're seeking wisdom, seek it from people. You know what? A friend told me once before, once you get to the top, when you take that elevator up to the top, sometimes you got to take the elevator down and grab somebody new and take them with you, right? And so you need to seek wisdom from people younger than you and from people older than you. It's not your age demographic. Always. It's not just the people who are in it with you. You've got to seek wisdom from people above you and below you. Financially, tenure, and age. Doesn't matter.
All righty. So financially, tenured, and age.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. The people that are making more money than you. Yeah, the people that are making more money than you, find out how they do it. People that are making less money, find out what their struggles are. See if you can help them. See if you can learn from. There's new ways of doing things. Maybe you're not making it financially, but maybe there's a new way to do it. That if you go down the elevator, you'll find a new way to do it. And tenure is just tenure in the business, right? Tenure in life and in business, and that's why I say, and also go to the age, is like how did you make your marriage work? Right? I think people plan for their wedding more than they plan for their marriage.
Yep. Yep. High divorce risk can be the answer to that one.
Terrible. I know. Every 13 seconds. Every 13 seconds in the United States there's a divorce, And there was so much effort put into the day. I'd like to see people put more effort into the years.
That's right. That's right. Don't just claim the day, claim the whole decade and decades to come.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Woo! Well, all righty. Won't hold you up too much longer. So for those who want to keep in touch with all that you're doing and all of your upcoming events and whatnot, what is the best way to keep in contact with you?
Well, thank you. Thanks for asking. And I love sharing that. So the best way to get in touch with me is just go to my website, which is jenduplessis.com. And you can put it in the show notes on how to spell it because I know all of it's difficult. I'm a 1N Jen, not a 2N Jen. It's definitely not Jenny. Don't call me Jenny. You'll be in big trouble. But yeah, so just go to jenduplessis.com. You can find out, about me and get in touch with me. And, I'd like to also offer that, if anyone would like to, I want to offer gifts, right? A couple gifts, actually. So if you will text yes, please, all one word, yes, please, to 66866, I'm happy to have a 30-minute complimentary strategy session with you. So if you're in business or you're thinking about getting in business, you're struggling in business, or you're a professional salesperson and you have a gap in whatever you're doing, I'd be happy to have a complimentary 30-minute session with you. And if you type or if you send get more info, all one word again, get more info to the same 66866, I will send you 7 strategies to jumpstart your business. And they are very thought-provoking strategies. This is the slow down to speed up type of strategies. This isn't tactical, it's thought-provoking to ensure that you're on the right path. Sort of that checkup from the neck up. So two gifts that I'd love to give your audience, and then certainly go to jenplessis.com, and you can reach out to me anytime and inquire about what I'm up to.
Woohoo! And don't forget to type in Mortgage Lending Mastery and hit that subscribe button on iTunes as well, and hear all of Jen's goodness.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, and actually we're going to change the name here soon. It's Mortgage Lending Mastery right now. It will be changed to Stop Talking, Take Action, Get Results. Stop Talking, Take Action, Get Results shortly, because I want to make sure that I can move myself out of, inclusive of the mortgage space, but out of just specifically the mortgage space. So it will be changing shortly to that.
I guess the multi-level marketers will be happy to they'll get the acronym back, right?
Yes. That's true. MLM. Yeah, I know. People tell me that too. Once in a while they'll say, oh, so you were multi-level marketing. I'm like, what are you talking about? MLM and Mortgage Lending Master. I'm like, oh, didn't think about that when I put it together. I wasn't thinking about it. But yeah, so no, we're going to go to Stop Talking, Take Action, and Get Results. So because that's really what I'm all about, is taking action and being an implementer. Just stop talking, stop whining. Let's get it done. And I think that a lot of people know what they need to do. They know they need to make phone calls, create relationships, build a system, for customer appreciation or customer service, and for the customer experience. But it's the how that they don't know how to do, and that's what I want to help with.
That's right. And Jen's the one to do it, folks. You need to check out her content. Listen to her keynote, took a bunch of notes, and then checked out some of her other podcasts, and it's like even more notes. It's almost like you're speaking to a business preacher. You just need to give her a robe one time she gets up on stage, y'all.
Thank you. Yeah, I need that. Yeah, I should think about that one day. Yeah, actually, my priest might get upset with me if I tried to be one. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's right. Dude, he's not looking. So true. That's true. Yeah. Thanks for that. Thanks for that idea. I might do that one day on stage. Come up there. I might just do it. I'm wacky that way. So.
Woo! That'll be Instagram worthy.
Yes. Yeah. It will. It definitely will.
Hey there, buddy. Looks like you made it to the end of this episode. Since you made it to the end of this episode, do both of us a favor and stop being greedy. Stop it right now and share this episode with your friends and your fellow podcast lovers, especially those who have book clubs and want to listen to the authors who write some amazing books. Be sure to check out the rest of the backlog too while you're at it, and share all those too.